Okay, next up we're going to talk about what exercises you should be using. So in the first 6 months of training, I personally get people focusing mainly on what we call compound exercises. So a compound exercise is something that basically just works a load of different muscles all at once and works multiple joints at once. So for example, a squat, you're working the hip joint, the knee joint, the ankle joint, and you're recruiting a ton of different muscles at once. So you're using your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes, all your core muscles are engaged to support you. If we compare that to something like a leg extension, then that would be an example of an isolation exercise. So an isolation exercise, a leg extension, you just sat down and all you're doing is extending your leg against the pad. So it's only really working the knee joint and focusing on one muscle or a group of muscles, the quadriceps. So we've got compound movements, they're going to make up the meat and potatoes of our program. Next up, you want to think about what are the basic movements that you need to hit in a session. So if you've seen one of my programs, it looks something like this. So a couple of exercises together, and there's normally 6 to 8 exercises and some intervals thrown in at the end. So the reason we pair a couple of exercises together, basically because it makes it harder. So if we were going to pair, let's say, a squat and a press up together. If we were going to do a squat on its own, let's say we do 10 reps of a squat and then we rest, then we do another 10 reps, then we rest, and then we do another 10 reps and we rest before moving on. That's going to be a lot easier than if we did 10 squats, then straight into a set of press-ups without any rest at all. So it's something we call peripheral heart action. It sounds really fancy and complicated. All it really means is that, let's say if we do a lower body exercise, for example, a squat, then our body will pump all the blood to our legs, obviously to help them out during the exercise. Now, if we were to go straight over to an upper body exercise, for example, a press up, we'll start going and then the body's thinking, oh my God, what's he doing? And the heart has to work extra hard to pump all of that blood that was just in our legs up to our upper body to help out while we're doing the press ups. So that peripheral heart action, that kind of extra strain and stress we put on our body, ultimately leads to us burning more calories and potentially more fat. So we've got compound movements, we're pairing a couple of exercises together, ideally peripheral heart action, so exercises that combine muscles that are, or exercises that use different muscle groups to make it harder, and we need to work out what are the main exercises we need to hit. So what I like to do when I'm designing programs is think of upper body, lower body exercises and push, pull. So if we've got a lower body push exercise, that'll be something like a squat, a lunge, a leg press, something like that, where we're extending the knee and kind of pushing away. So the main work is going to be done by our quads. We've got lower body pull exercise, which is going to be mainly a hamstring and glute dominant exercise. So something like a Romanian deadlift, hamstring curls, Nordics, back extensions, pull throughs, anything like that where it's recruiting calves, hamstrings, glutes, lower back, so your posterior chain, that's what we call it. So they're the they're the lower body push and pull exercises. Next up, upper body push and pull. So the two planes of movement I think of are horizontal push and pull, and also vertical push and pull. So an example of a horizontal push, a press up, a dumbbell press, a bench press, and a horizontal pull, maybe a seated row machine, a bent over barbell row, a bent over dumbbell row, anything like that. Upper body push in terms of the vertical movement would be something like a shoulder press. So you could use a bar, dumbbells, machines, whatever you can get your hands on. Upper body pull, if you're strong enough, do pull-ups, chin-ups, or you can use the assisted machine to make it easier, lat pull-downs and anything of that variety. So, what I've done, prepared this beautiful board to kind of get my point across. If we look at A1, A2, B1, B2, that is the main meat and potatoes of your program. You've got your lower push, i.e. something like a squat or a lunge, upper body pull, something like a lat pull-down or a pull-up if you can do it. Lower body pull would be something like a deadlift, a Romanian deadlift, sumo deadlift, hamstring curls, back extensions. An upper body push, something like press-ups, shoulder presses, and things of that nature. So that is going to be the main bulk of your workout done, because it hits pretty much every single muscle in the body. And if you think about it, doing those overhead presses, doing pull-ups, you have to engage all your core muscles as well. So even though there's not direct ab work in there, you're still going to be recruiting your core massively. Moving on from there, if you've got time to add anything extra in there, then really what we want to try and focus on is any potential weak areas. So typically within the first 6 months of training, it's going to be people's glutes, it's going to be people's core, and any kind of postural issues they have in terms of upper body. So this is what I tend to do. Lower push, upper pull, pair them together so we get that peripheral heart action and we make it really tough. Lower pull, upper push, again, so we're hitting all the major muscle groups in the first 4 exercises. Then, let's just work on our weak areas. So if people's glutes don't fire properly, or if they slouch, they've got terrible posture, we'll throw some glutes in there. Upper body postural work, that could be things like external rotations, band pull-aparts, face pulls, something called YTAs or YWTs, anything that's going to improve posture and make you basically stand up taller and reduce your risk of injury. Next up, core work. Everyone wants awesome looking stomachs, plus it's going to help with posture, help you with all the major lifts as well, and then any more postural stuff you want to throw in there. As you advance, this is going to change obviously, but if you're ever away from your local gym or if you haven't got your normal program to hand, if you follow this structure, you're going to have an awesome workout, hit all the major muscle groups, and you're going to focus on your weak areas. Boom.